Hello everyone. Welcome to our session on Introduction to Algebra for Class 6 CBSE. I'm excited to have you here today. On this first slide, we see the title of our presentation, Introduction to Algebra for Class 6 CBSE, along with a brief overview. Today, we'll explore key algebra concepts, understand important definitions, look at some illustrative examples, and learn problem-solving techniques. Our goal is to build a strong foundation in algebra that will prepare you for more advanced math topics ahead. Let's get started. Let's talk about some key concepts in algebra. These include terms, coefficients, variables, and constants. Understanding these building blocks is essential because they form the foundation of algebraic expressions and equations. Terms are the parts of an expression separated by plus or minus signs. Coefficients are the numbers that multiply variables, giving us a sense of scale. Variables are symbols, usually letters, that represent unknown or changing values. Constants are fixed numbers that stay the same. Now, why is mastering these concepts important? Well, basic algebra helps us solve real-life problems, such as calculating costs, budgeting, or even figuring out distances. It also develops our logical thinking skills, which are useful beyond math. Algebra uses symbols and letters to stand in for numbers and quantities. Think of it as a language that allows us to express relationships and patterns in a compact and flexible way. When we see formulas and equations, these symbols help us understand how different parts connect and chain. Finally, understanding what algebra is, a branch of math that introduces us to these symbols and their relationships, opens the door to more advanced math concepts. It's an introduction that sets the stage for everything else we'll explore in this course. When we talk about simplifying expressions, the key idea is to make them easier to work with by combining like terms and removing any parentheses that might be there. For example, if we have 2x plus 3x, we can simplify that to 5x, because both terms are like terms. They both involve x. Simplifying helps us see the core of the expression more clearly and makes calculations much more straightforward. Remember, combining like terms is a crucial step in simplifying, and eliminating parentheses is often necessary to fully understand the expression. This process is fundamental in algebra because it allows us to work with simpler, more manageable expressions while solving equations or analyzing relationships. When we talk about solving for a variable, especially in equations, there are generally two main operations involved. These are the steps we take to isolate the variable and find its value. Now, in the case of two-step equations, we need to perform two different operations, like addition or subtraction, followed by multiplication or division, to get to the variable. On the other hand, solving one-step equations is a bit simpler because we only need to perform one operation. This makes it quicker to find the variable's value when the equation is straightforward. It's also important to remember that an equation itself is a statement that asserts the equality of two expressions. Think of it as a balance scale. Both sides need to be equal for the statement to be true. So, in summary, understanding whether you're working with a one-step or two-step equation helps determine how many operations you'll need to perform. And recognizing what an equation is helps set the foundation for solving these problems effectively. Now, let's take a closer look at the distributive property. This property explains how addition and multiplication are connected. It states that a times the sum of b and c is the same as a times b plus a times c. In other words, a times b plus c equals a times b plus a times c. This is really important because it helps us simplify complex equations more easily. Moving on, the distributive property is just one of the key properties of algebra. It works alongside the associative and commutative properties, which we will explore next. But for now, remember that the distributive property is what allows us to break down and distribute multiplication over addition, making our calculations much more manageable. Linear equations are really common in everyday life. For example, you might use them to calculate distances, plan budgets, or make decisions based on data. When we solve these equations, it helps us understand and make informed choices. Now, when we graph linear equations on a coordinate plane, we're able to visualize the solutions. The key point here is that the solution to the equation is the point where the line crosses the x-axis. That crossing point gives us a lot of useful information about the relationship described by the equation. Regarding linear equations in one variable, these are equations that can be written in the form ax plus b equals 0, where a and b are just constants. Understanding these forms is fundamental because it allows us to solve for the variable easily and see how different values impact the solution. So, in summary, linear equations are essential tools. They help us interpret data visually through graphing and are straightforward to understand, especially in one-variable cases. This understanding connects to our broader goal of applying math to real-world situations effectively. Now, let's take a look at an example to understand how to set up a word problem. If Sarah is 4 years older than Tom, and together they are 30 years old, we can form an equation to represent that. The equation would be t plus 4 equals 30, or written as t plus 4 equals 30. This example illustrates a common type of word problem involving age. Other common types include distance problems and work problems. The key to solving these is translating the words into algebraic expressions or equations. Understanding how to turn the words into math is crucial. It helps us see the relationships between the quantities involved. When you encounter a word problem, focus on identifying these relationships and converting them into algebra. So, in summary, recognizing the key information, forming the right equations, and practicing these steps will make solving word problems much more manageable. This approach connects directly to the overall theme of applying algebra to real-world situations. Understanding algebra is essential because it lays the groundwork for more advanced math and science courses you'll encounter later on. Think of it as building a solid foundation. Without it, tackling higher-level topics becomes much more difficult. Mastering algebra opens doors to complex problem-solving and critical thinking skills that are vital in many fields. For example, in finance, engineering, science, and technology, algebraic concepts are frequently used to analyze data and develop solutions. So, the importance of algebra extends far beyond the classroom. It's a key tool for real-world applications that affect many aspects of daily life. Algebra really opens the door to more advanced mathematics, which is exciting because it shows us how foundational these skills are for future learning. As we look ahead, there are many paths in math that build on what we've learned here, so mastering algebra is a crucial step. Remember, regular practice is essential. It's the best way to truly master these concepts and gain confidence. I want to encourage you to keep practicing, because the more you work with algebra, the more natural it will become. We've already covered the essential algebraic concepts, and this recap helps us see how they fit together. So, in summary, understanding these key ideas is vital, and they serve as the foundation for more advanced topics. Overall, mastering algebra sets you up for success in many areas of math and beyond. Now, let's look at some practical ways to reinforce what we've learned. Utilizing worksheets and online quizzes can really boost your understanding and help you retain algebraic concepts more effectively. These tools not only prepare you for exams, but also give you real-world applications of what you're studying. Engaging in mathematics forums and study groups is another excellent strategy. They provide support, new insights, and help clarify any doubts you might have, making your learning experience more interactive and collaborative. For a deeper understanding, I recommend referring to your CBSE textbooks and exploring online platforms that offer interactive algebra exercises and video tutorials. These resources are designed to enhance your learning, making complex topics more accessible. In summary, combining practice materials, community engagement, and reliable online resources creates a comprehensive approach to mastering algebra. This aligns perfectly with our overall goal of building a strong mathematical foundation that will serve you well in exams and beyond.